everybody. Welcome. All good things must come to an end, but we're just ending. I'm Ted. He's Chris. He's Drew. This is the second to last episode ever of Vikings Report with Drew, Ted, and Chris. Look, man, life gets in the way sometimes. Ruby got a big promotion. I like just watching the football games with my grandson more than I like talking football with these clowns. It's just the way it is. But we want to sit here and say thanks to everybody and all that stuff. But, gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Well, on top of all those things, I want to take responsibility for this coming to an end because, as I was warned and I chose to ignore all the warnings, but I've started dating Yoko Ono. So that's why that's why things are coming to an end here. I mean, like I said, I was warned and I chose not to listen. So this is on me.
Well, I'm guessing you didn't meet her at karaoke.
Love isn't blind, but it damn sure is deaf.
At least none of us are dead.
Oh man, what a show!
Wait until my wife finds out. That'll change.
Thank you to everybody that's been watching us all this time. It is kind of sad, but Ted said it best. Things happen a little bit out of control. We can't. I can't carry on the production truck without Toonses. She was our lifeblood, and this is a good show to be happy with everybody out there to say our hellos and goodbyes or whatever. But great fan base that carried us through. Look at all the subs we got, and then getting Chris was like, picking up Adrian Peterson in the draft at the the 7th pick past Brady Quinn. We scored with Chris and took us right out to the end, but like Led Zeppelin and everything has to come to a close, Ted.
It was like getting Chris on this show was like when Thanos got that last Infinity Stone.
Yeah, and then half of everything went to shit.
Well, I mean, we don't want to talk about that part.
I mean, I appreciate the thanks from you guys. I mean, like I said, I'm not smart enough to host or edit or anything like that, but I got no problem just sitting down and talking football with folks, and that's it's gonna sound a little arrogant, but we did this shit better than anyone.
I think so too. We did it different than anyone. We had our different video shows. Ted would find all these great inserts, pass them along to me, the videos, and Toonses would put these creations together. Every show is so much different, and a lot of pods out there now, they're just the same format. 2 or 3 people talking about the Vikings. When we started, Ted and I wanted to do something different. And we sure as hell brought it different, didn't we?
We did. One thing, I don't know, Ruby, are you there? Can you come online for just a quick second? I don't know if you can or not, if you can come up private chat or whatever.
Hello.
Hey, Ruby, I just want to say one thing I'm not going to miss is like we would do a show every week. We would do a show every week, and she would send me the raw, uncut, unedited video. And then I would watch it, and I would send it, and I'd send a timestamp, and I'd find a clip on YouTube I think was pretty funny. And I'm thinking, man, this is gonna be great. And then she would completely discard it and put in something completely ridiculous and impose my face on it and make me look completely retarded. So I want to personally thank her for that.
You're welcome.
Because it was way funnier than whatever I ever picked out. And she was about the best producer a group of idiots could ever ask for. So I just want to say thank you for all the effort you put into our show. I know you don't have the time to put into it anymore with your promotion at work. And that's why one of the reasons the show ended up going into two parts last year, because folks, I know you didn't know it, but she was staying up till 2:33, 4 o'clock in the morning to get at least half the show out, and then staying up late the next night get the other half out. And it's not fair to her. And look, my grandson likes to watch football. I don't know when I stand before my judgment when I cross over whether I'm going to be praised or cursed for this. But he has now become a huge Vikings fan, and he wants to sit and talk about the Vikings at the end of the game. And I kind of had to hurry that up, and I don't really want to do that anymore. I want to sit and talk with him about the game and enjoy it and not have to take notes and, remember this drive on this play and all that stuff. So
Ted,
that's kind of the two big reasons that the show is mainly coming to a close. So
I'm sure you'll be fine at any pearly gates that you might walk up on, as long as you're not taking that Archie Griffin jersey with you.
I'm going to be wearing the Archie Griffin shirt and a Vikings hat. So
I just want to point out that even though I got to the show late, I will forever be Toonce's favorite. And,
shut up.
He is the favorite.
Jeez, you're brown nosed into the end. Just shut up.
I don't have to brown nose, Ted. I've already hit the top of the mountain. I am at the pinnacle. There's
He is
no,
El Capitano.
But when Alexander looked out upon his kingdom, he wept because there were no further lands left for him to conquer. That is where I am at this point with the almighty Toonces. So, yeah.
Seriously, though, when we started this thing, I asked Ted, you want to host it? Because I can't host either, Chris. I'm not a host. And we just went over. It was like, Ted, if you remember, it was like a 2-minute interview process. Do you want to do this? Yeah. What do you want to do? I don't know. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be different. And the other rule we wanted to have, we wanted to be old school. Got to have that song at the beginning. And the third thing was, my God, can we have a show where we talk on the same level as the fans, rather than talking about the cover one against the cover two, and talk about the strong side and the weak side, and people, we wanted to keep it down on that level. And I've gotten a lot of responses over the last 4 years about you guys keep it, where we can all hear it and figure it out. It doesn't get too much off in the weeds, whether it's draft talk, Vikings talk, or whatever. And I owe a lot of that stuff to you guys. But I think all in all, we kept it to where we're not trying to I don't know what the word is. You're trying to, people can't even understand what the hell some of these shows are talking about.
I think we said early on, we never wanted to talk over our audience. We wanted to talk to our audience. We wanted like we were sitting in a bar, drinking a beer, just talking football with our audience. And I think for the most part, we accomplished that until Chris came along, and then the cops showed up, and then we all got thrown in jail because that
was fun though too. That
was a good time. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying, but yeah,
it only happened the once. So I mean, but one time going to prison was enough. I mean, that's yeah.
Just fantastic stuff. I had a blast doing this show. I really did.
Yeah, I did too. I liked, if you guys aren't sure how this show started, I was done. I kind of thought I was done. I was done writing for Chris over at the Daily Norseman. I had done a show with our good friend Dave Stefano, Andrew at Good Morning Gallahorn. I was done with that. I was just kind of thought I was done. And Drew said, "Hey, what do you think about you and I doing a show?" And I was just really on the fence about it. And he's like, "No, it's going to be different." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And he said, "No, it's going to be old school." And he pitched me this NFL Today kind of theme. We're going to use this NFL Today theme. And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I want to do the old big board from the old NFL Today pregame show. I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." And I was kind of hooked. I'm like, "Well, I'll give it a shot." And we started at the end of the 2020 season, which is one of the Vikings' worst seasons. And we went through the 2021 season, which was terrible. But it was a lot of fun. And then we brought Chris on board for our live post game shows and the draft show, and it was it really became a lot of fun. I had a tremendous time doing this show every week. I never went into the show going, "Oh God, I really don't want to do this show this week. These guys suck. They're terrible. They're horrible." I never ever one time felt that with you guys. It was just, there are times at Daily Norseman when I went weeks when I didn't want to write. I didn't feel like writing, and Chris was cool enough where he never pressured me. I never had to, but I never felt that way about the show. I always looked forward to doing it. It was at times therapeutic for me. Had a bad week, and I look forward to coming here and talking football with you guys and laughing my ass off and we never said, even our turbo shows, "Hey, we got to be done in like 35, 40 minutes." An hour and a half later, we're still talking and laughing football. And Ruby would just kill us.
She would be. Remember, towards the end, I go, "We're going to do a turbo show," and she'd roll her eyes and laugh. No, you're not. Is there any shows that stood out to you two guys over? Mine has to be the one when they dropped the Mayo thing.
That was one of our first episodes.
I think that was our first, but then we talked about that, and then that's when you did. I'm smart, Mike. We were laughing our asses off. And after the recording of the first show, I think after the show for like 10 or 15 minutes, we were still laughing, going, "This is fantastic. This is so much fun." And that Sharknado, I remember that one really well. And then the Twilight Zone one was Ruby put in a lot of different additions and stuff for that show.
The funniest moment in this show's history was Christopher Gates imitating Dusty Rhodes. Hands down. Hands down. Hands down.
That is the number one spot.
I still don't know where the hell that came from. The first time I did it, it's not like I've been watching old Dusty Rhodes promos or anything like that, but it worked at the time.
There was about a 5-second period after he finished where I literally could not breathe. I thought we were gonna, and that was a live show too, if I remember correctly.
I think it was. Yeah.
I literally could not talk. I could not catch my breath. I still talk to my wife about the show. I had to show her, and I every time I show her this clip, I start laughing, and she doesn't get it. And it's not my wife's fault because she did not watch wrestling growing up, so she doesn't get the whole Dusty Rhodes bit. And I showed her the Hard Times clip, the original Dusty Rhodes Hard Times clip.
Hard Times.
And I showed her the Chris impersonation of the Hard Times clip, and she's like, "Okay, that's funny." I'm like, "No, it's beyond funny. This should be a headline stand-up comedy act somewhere. Funny." And she's like, "Yeah, okay, baby, sure."
The fact that it was unfiltered, it was totally. People need to know this. It was unscripted. We don't script anything. We're doing that draft that one time on the linebackers, and I said, the guy's name was, who was the traitor guy? Snowden, Eric Snowden or something. Well, the guy's name was Snowden.
Yeah.
And Ted said something about, is he a full-time starter? And I said, yeah, he's a starter, but he disappears quite often. And we both started cracking up because it tied into just things like that. We'd make, Ted especially, we'd throw these one-liners out, and we'd almost have to stop, remember what we were talking about. But it was just at times like that, you never knew it was going to happen from show to show. Even when Chris joined on, because he used to do the live shows with us.
Yeah.
We never knew really what was going to happen. And to be honest, when I watch these other shows, I know what's going to happen.
Real quick, Northsby has asked, hey, what movie was Light This Candle from? That's actually a carryover from our Good Morning Gallahorn show. Our good friend Dave would say, hey, let's light this candle. But that was from the movie The Right Stuff. And that was kind of one of our there were a couple things we wanted to do like every show. And we started some things we kept going, and Light This Candle was almost in every show.
How did we pick that? I can't remember how we picked how we just started using it every episode.
I don't know. We just did it. There were a couple things we wanted to carry over. We remember we wanted to do the Apple meme kid, the kid with the apple. We did that for like the first 10 or 15 episodes, and then that just sort of fell off. There were a couple other things we did, but the Light This Candle thing was kind of a staple we used. But yeah, that was from the movie The Right Stuff, which is by itself one of my favorite movies of all time. So
yeah, I think we might have even done how we featured a movie or a show every week. We might have done that one twice. We started out doing TV shows, WKRP, all that kind of stuff. And we did WKRP at Thanksgiving for the turkey talk. We had them all timed in to what we were doing, but
God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And I think once in a while people would see them in the comments under the studio show where people would put their picks in. Mm-hmm. I can't watch the show. It's been 6 minutes. They haven't talked about the Vikings. Well, you're going to get people like that, but to hell with you. This is how we do it. And I never heard anybody else complain about it. So
no.
Vikings Uncensored, our good friend Ryan Johnson says Trivia with Toonses could have been its own show. That's very true. That was one thing Drew was adamant about when he said, hey, look, we want to do trivia. And that was one of the reasons the show kind of, I don't want to say fell off, but sort of changed this last year because Ruby got so busy, we couldn't do trivia as often as we did. And that was like a staple the first 2 or 3 years of the show.
Fantastic.
But that was talk about making my sides hurt every week was Ruby's picture puzzles, man. If you go back and watch some of our old episodes, Rhino's right. The trivia could have been its own. The trivia could have been its own standalone show. That was absolutely hysterical.
You got Chris with Dusty Rhodes. Had #1 slot all time on this show.
Yeah,
those picture puzzles have to be too. They have to come in second.
The finest artwork that Microsoft Paint has to offer. That shit was great. Some of those I can't remember what all of them were, but I remember that we would get a couple of them and we would just be dying. It was amazing.
A few of them she made we couldn't air.
Well, no. I'm sure there probably were.
No, there were some, and she edited out the picture, but she kept in the stuff we were laughing about. And you guys can go back and try and find it. We'll never. It's going to go to the grave because we'd end up in jail.
That's why she was the only producer for our show. She knew how we thought. She's Toots's.
Yeah.
But she's just as twisted up as we are. So that worked out really well.
Absolutely.
The whole show worked out really well. All the contests over the years, people always gave their all to make sure they got their picks in for the No One Cares. We had the Rook Dog Challenge. We had some giveaway trivia stuff during our draft shows that we had. We did a lot of people. I don't know. I think people were as happy with the show in the end, Ted, as we were doing it. Don't you think, Chris?
I kind of think so. I mean, we had a pretty consistent audience. We got a lot of folks here every week. I mean, for the live shows, we had a lot of folks for the draft shows. The few live watch parties we did, we had plenty of people here. No, I mean, we've got a great audience, and they I think by this time they kind of knew what they were getting when they jumped on here and watched or listened to the show, and yeah, it's been pretty incredible. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Chris Young said, and I want to take a minute to talk about this. He said, I'm gonna miss Drew's big board, and I just want to take a minute to talk about Drew and the amount of effort and research he put in every offseason in his big board. One of the big things I loved about this show is when the season ended for the Vikings, whether they went to playoffs or not, we took time to talk about every position on both offense and defense, and Drew made his top 15 on his big board for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, all the way across the board. And we would look at if it was a person the Vikings probably were looking at in the first round, he would put a lot of effort into those early round picks. If it was a mid-round guy or a late-round guy or possibly an undrafted free agent, Drew would come in loaded for bear, and he would know, first of all, the first 15 guys on that board pretty cold, but he would also have 4 or 5 names as possible undrafted free agents. And I would put Drew's draft knowledge up against anybody on TV or anybody in print magazine or anybody on the internet anywhere. Drew, I can't thank you enough for the amount of effort you put in to that segment during our offseason show. You made me so much smarter about the guys the Vikings were looking at and the overall big board for the draft. So thank you.
I appreciate the kind words, Smitty. But when I did those segments, you used to help me out because you'd ask questions, remember, about some of the guys, and it would, keep us rolling. You were as much part of making those things successful as I was. So thank you.
No, I wanna absolutely echo what Ted said here as far as the big board and the college stuff is. Personally, I don't watch a hell of a lot of college football because with all the stuff I have on DN going on during the football season, Saturday is usually the day I gotta actually leave the house and interact with the public and do things and whatnot. So, but yeah, someone that doesn't watch a lot of college football, or not probably as much as he should. I mean, you're pulling guys out from all these like small colleges, like Ted said, you had your top 15, and then you got dudes that might not get drafted over draft weekend, but could wind up with the Vikings anyway. And yeah, these are just it made not only me and Ted that much smarter about everything, but all the people who were watching these draft shows just got knowledge that they weren't going to get anywhere else when it comes to these players. So yeah, I want to say and I know you're going to keep posting it in the Facebook group and whatnot, but yeah, it's it was great having that kind of a resource.
You guys are awesome. I really appreciate, like I said, appreciate that. I you put a lot of work into something, but you guys know if you love it, then it's not really putting a lot of, you know what I mean? It's like you enjoy doing it. So at the end of all the draft shows, there'd be papers and it looked like a party was going on. It was a lot of fun, but I want to say thank you to the people that are commenting on it. Dave Stefano was doing my draft boards. He was making the charts for him back in late like 2018 or something. He knows about how long we've been doing this draft stuff. So Dave commented, and I want to say thank you, Dave, for all the support you gave me when I was doing it back then. And Ryan Johnson from Vikings Uncensored, he made a comment. I just want to thank you, everybody. I appreciate that because it was a fun part of the show. It kept the off season going, guys. I mean, you got to keep the off season going with something. So
and that's one thing I really liked about this show is because we didn't fall into the trap of doing a 7-round mock draft with undrafted free agents starting in like February that every other freaking show does. My God. For any other of you podcasters out there that may be tuning in now, if you are, great. If you're not, fine, I get it. Stop it. Just stop it. Nobody cares.
I remember, I know when Ted was still writing for DN, and I used to do this every once in a while too. Like once a week, we would each like go into one of those mock draft like simulators or whatever, where you like the entire draft plays itself out, and we'd have all these draft scenarios, and we'd just be like, that was the kind of thing you're like, oh man, I gotta do my draft for this week, and then you're just like, man, I can only run the same scenario so many damn times before it's not cool anymore. But we didn't do that. We had like, I think like the week of the draft, we'd do like a mock up to as far as the Vikings were picking, and that would kind of be it. And that was pretty awesome.
Honest to God, what I would do stupid drafts. Like if whatever their number one position need was, I would do all tackles. And then I would do an all Ohio State draft up until free agency. And then I would start getting kind of serious. It's just dumb.
Get the initial free agent moves by everybody done before you start doing. I mean, that's all that's something I don't ever understand. I mean, I know people are trying to have shows and they're trying to fill space, but you got to do one thing at a time. You got to take it easy a little bit. Let free agency play out for a few weeks. You got plenty of time to do mock drafts from free agency, March 12th, all the way up to draft day. So
I know that's ridiculous, but anyways, go on with your 7-round mock drafts. Go on and follow the stupid rumor of the day and write a post about it. Just be like everybody else. Go ahead and tell me who the Vikings are going to trade JJ McCarthy for. Be those guys. I don't care. That's fine. We never did. That's what made us different, I think.
I seen one today thinking the Vikings are they made a post. Not the Gallahorn. The stupid posts are never in the Gallahorn. One, it was on these things that go through my feed, and it said, how can the Vikings start JJ McCarthy after a torn ACL? And I'm thinking, what? Torn ACL. That's what they made a post on. They don't even, you think Ted, but what did Mora say?
You don't really know.
You don't know. You think you know. So it's whatever they want to do. It's turned into the really weird thing on social media about.
Yeah.
I mean, Ruby reads. She'll read me something off Twitter, and I thought that's got to be a joke. Somebody serious about that? So
what we should do. What we should do is we should get together on here, not live, but just to get together and come up with a dumb rumor. And then we'll put it on Twitter and see who picks it up. And we'll come up with a pseudonym.
Okay. Yeah,
We'll call ourselves Anthony Tollison, independent post reporter. And see who gains life with it.
Well, only because Robert W. Farnsworth is already taken. Well, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Vikings. My God, Jesus! I would.
As long as you start out with sources say, Chris, it's legal.
Yeah.
Report. It's been reported. Sources say.
Sausage.
Who's the source? Your mailman or somebody you talk to down at the liquor store?
Peterson is in peak physical condition and is looking to sign a 1-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings.
There's another thing of our show that could have been a show by itself. Farnsworth.
Oh,
Trivia. Farnsworth. I'm starting to figure out why we're kind of successful at this. We had had a few things going on for us, didn't we?
We weren't afraid to be stupid. I think.
No, we weren't. No, we weren't. You know what? It's all football.
Coach Cawthorpe, I'm going to miss you guys like I'm Blair Walsh in cold weather with a chip shot field goal.
Oh my God!
Can we give him a prize for that? Yeah, let's give him a prize for that.
We're just sticking the knife in here, aren't we?
Coach has always made tremendous. All our people make tremendous comments, but that's a prize winner right there.
That was awesome.
I want to quick go back to something that Chuck Litwin said in the comments up here a little bit ago, where he said, let me find it here. Come hell or high water, if the Vikes win a Super Bowl, you got to get the band back together for a celebration show. God help us if this team ever wins a frickin' Super Bowl, because
I say
dude, Toonses has got to fire up the stream. We're gonna be here. It's gonna be like a 9-hour party with beer and hookers and whatever else. And I think we got, if this team wins a Super Bowl before we all die, we gotta do something. I think we can do that potentially.
I say we sign up for that right now.
I'm not sure about the hookers part.
I mean,
my wife might disapprove of the hookers part, but I'll do the beer and I'll do the live show.
Hell yeah!
All right, we'll write that in the post VR. That maybe the draft. Maybe we'll do.
It's going to be like Woodstock in here if this team ever wins the damn Super Bowl.
You know what the karma is for us? We'll be able to say next February, the year we stop doing Vikings Report, the year the Vikings go to the Super Bowl. Isn't that weird? So it might just happen.
Well, I used to write for an Ohio State blog, and the year I quit writing for that, they won the national championship. So that was back in 2014. So whatever. Who knows? Maybe that's what needed to happen to break the curse. Somebody mentioned that. I put a post on Twitter a couple days ago, and somebody replied, and then somebody else replied, well, maybe, it was our a good friend of the show, Thor Nystrom, said, Ted, you can't quit now because he's a big JJ McCarthy fan, as everybody knows, and he said you can't quit now that the dynasty's about to begin. And somebody replied to Thor that said, well, maybe that's what needs to happen for the curse to end. I'm like, that's a very fair point.
Oh, yeah. That is a very, very fair point.
This team was cursed way the hell before we got here. It's
not
us.
That's true. That's true.
It's not us. I mean, I don't know if we like Pedro Serrano from Major League, if we got to sacrifice a chicken or something, or a goat or whatever.
What was the
we
name of the bat? Jubo or something?
Jobu.
Oh, Jobu.
Jobu, if you fail me now, you fail me now. No, there's a lot of memories to look back on this, but yeah, well, you never know what the future holds. Getting back.
Yeah.
If we go to the Super Bowl, we're on air. We are on the frickin' air.
Oh yeah,
literally and tech wise. But it was. I thought of this idea for the show like probably when I was like 14 years old, to mix up sports with like a not necessarily the news, have inserts and stuff. And I almost gave up on it. It took me 40 some odd years to find the right host. And then I found Ted. There's some moments on the old show, the Good Morning Gallahorn with Dave Stefano, that we used to have.
Oh God.
And Ted and I would just be going back and forth. And I'd get off there and I'd say, Toonses, I found him. If I want to say, finally I could start my show. I found the guy that checks all the boxes to do it. The show I'm talking about doing. And it was perfect. It was like 3 or 4 shows, and I knew it. You talked to Toonses. I was about ready to give up on my show idea, but it's been on my bucket list since I was a kid. But perfect. Ted was perfect for it. And then Chris just added on for the lot. The only regret I have in the show is I wish Chris would have been with us like studio wise earlier, because he did such a he came on the show. When he came into live shows, it was just like, man, we got to get him on our studio shows. So that would be the only thing I would do different, is probably to have all of us from the beginning. But Ted took my crazy idea and made it like, I remember after like 3 shows, I was going, Ruby, this is way, way better than I thought. Way better than I thought it would be.
Well, I remember we did the first show, and we were laughing about the Mayo Bowl. The Wisconsin quarterback shattered the crystal football. That's like it right there, still during COVID and all that. And then we only had like a couple inserts, and then we did like Edward Scissorhands something. You remember that? and I threw that like right in the middle, and I said, hey, I sent you and Ruby a message on Facebook. I'm like, hey, can I do more of these? And you were like, yeah. And then I kind of went crazy, and the show sort of took off from there. I'm like, oh, this is dangerous. This is pretty good.
Something that needs to be said is that people probably don't realize is Tootses has her own, like, she put the inserts in she would want to, like, put a clown face over our faces or whatever.
Me, and then her making fun of Ohio State. That's what Ruby would do. That's 90% of her freaking inserts.
They need to know the production of the show. Of 90% of the inserts was Ted Glover's inserts. He would send them to stay up late. He'd watch the show, rewatch the show that we just recorded, and then he would find inserts, Godfather, whatever, different movies or whatever, and he'd throw them on a piece of paper and send them to me, and then I'd start piecing it together to give to Toonses. That's kind of how we work. But all the inserts were you, dude. I remember you went fishing or something, and I said, Tanner, you can't do this show without the inserts. Can you do it when you're fishing? Come on.
No, I couldn't.
But it was he was in charge of all that, and I could always tell that you were up late on some, because by the end of the edit sheet, it was like the edit times were like
a couple times. Maybe I had a few too many a couple times, but they were good.
But you kind of took care of that area of the show, all those really cool inserts and Monty Python and all that. So
yeah,
that was, it was basically Toots is producing your inserts, and then I would, try to add whatever I could to it. But you guys were doing most of the creative stuff in there. All those inserts, you did a lot of inserts for this show over 4 years, dude.
Well, but I think the key to our success, though, honestly, was how well we all get along together. And we all think the same way. There was never any serious creative differences among any of us really ever on how the format of the show was going to go. Somebody would bring up an idea, and we're all like, well, okay, we'll try it. And if it worked, it was great. And if it didn't work, we all kind of knew it wasn't going to work, but we were at least willing to try it at least one time.
Sure. Well, I mentioned to you after like the first year, I used to say the only real collaborative things I've done in my life were forming bands, rock bands.
Yeah.
I was a bass player, singer. I had to go find drummers. I had to go find this, and then I couldn't find drummers. And Ronnie Montrose said, dude, go to AA meetings. You want to find musicians. So I told Ronnie, I go, that's what I did when he told me. But I'm thinking, if Ronnie Montrose tells you something, you go do it. So I went and did it. It had like 3 drummers auditioning, a couple singers. You can find them there. So that's my my little piece of knowledge out there to throw out there. If you're starting a band, go down to AA meetings. At AA meetings, you can find some really good musicians. But this was so much different than a band, because you're in a band, and at some point, it all starts falling apart. So this never happened. There was no like bad vibes in this show. And I used to tell you all the time, this is so much different of a collaboration than making a band.
Yeah.
Because the band, you're constantly trying to, drummer's girlfriend's calling your house. Where's so-and-so? I don't know. It's 5:30 in the morning. I don't keep track of these guys. Somebody's in rehab. You're fighting, you're babysitting more than you are making music. And this was a collaborative effort where we never had problems. And I was like, I don't know how to deal with this, because I'm used to having problems. So I appreciate the effort that everybody always gave. Nobody ever bitched. Somebody would throw an idea out, and we'd go, all right, let's do it. And that's not how a band works. You throw an idea out, everybody has to kick it around and mess with it.
And in case you guys were wondering, Chris, Drew, and I all met at an AA meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ted was court ordered to go to 3 a day.
Yeah. Well, 2 AA and 1 NA, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Ronnie Montrose. You want to go
6 of one, half a dozen.
There. You go
tomato.
to AA meetings, you'll find some musicians.
I had no idea that was a thing.
No.
Oh, it was. They're all there. That's a lot of them.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it, though. I mean, you're not working harder; you're working smarter.
I thought about afterwards. Why didn't I think of that? Go to where they're at.
Sure, why not?
It's great.
All right. Well, look, folks, we've kind of reminisced a lot. We've got one more show coming up. We're going to do the first night of the NFL draft in April. What's the date of that? Do we even know it's April?
It's like the 25th. or something like that.
Yeah.
26th. I think it's the 26th.
Thursday. Is it still a Thursday?
Yeah.
I don't even
Thursday the 24th.
Did we
Thursday
decide
the
if they
24th.
trade back? If we're gonna do another night if they trade back, or
I don't know. Are we?
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be a party at your house, right? So we can all just hang out. I'll sleep on the couch or whatever.
I can't party 2 nights in a row anymore. I'm closing in on.
Ed, let's
I'm
show us
closing on an 80.
show us that sweater.
Huh?
Show me that sweater. That right there proves that you could party for 2 nights in a row. That sweater right there.
I'm no Willie Plett, mind you.
Don Beaupre.
Don Beaupre.
What about Neil Broughton? He's probably the
Dino
greatest.
Cicerelli, baby.
Who's the greatest North Star ever?
It's got to be
Broughton.
Neil
Gotta
Broughton,
be.
doesn't it?
I got to be Neil Broughton. My personal favorite was either Dino Cicerelli,
Didn't Madonna play there, or was he in Dallas?
like
yet?
Madonna
like
played.
one year, I think.
Most
one or
of
2
his
years
time was in
before.
Dallas,
Yeah,
though.
most of his time was in Dallas, though.
Did the
yeah.
North Stars ever win it?
No,
No.
they went to the Stanley Cup in 79-80, and then
It was like
they-
90-91.
yeah.
Like the last game of the 91 finals, the Penguins came in and beat them like 8-1 or some.
In like
crap,
6
it was-
games, they lost the
Pretty
Islanders.
snazzy sweater, though. That's pretty snazzy. I'm happy
Yeah.
to get me one of those.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I want to point out Rhino, for God knows what reason, is suggesting the draft show come live from picturesque Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is where the
I am
the
not
NFL
allowed
draft.
there.
Yeah,
I'm
we're not.
going-
None of
I'm
us
not
are.
going to Green Bay.
None of us are allowed in the state of Wisconsin.
No, I'm
Ever
not
since,
going to
I,
Green Bay.
ever since I ran out and took a dump on the 50-yard line, I am not allowed back in that stadium.
The high end cuisine in Wisconsin and Green Bay is an Applebee's, and I'm not going there. So no, no.
Man, I remember when Longwell said that, and all the Green Bay fans were just so pissed off about it. And it's like, well, you're not denying that it's true.
Well,
I mean, because it absolutely is.
if we were going to go, it would be this year, because just last year they finally installed bathrooms. So
Oh well, there you go.
they have to step up for their stadium, Ted. What do you call it, Ted? That big cow field or something?
It is an overgrown high school football field. It's got aluminum bleachers, for God's sakes. Don't tell me Lambeau Field is like this holy sacred ground, because it's a frickin' high school field. That's all it is. That's all it is.
I'm an owner.
I'm an
Oh
owner.
God, you paid $275 for a freaking PowerPoint slide printed on some freaking cardstock from the
Do they-
Hallmark store,
Do they really
and that
have
makes
those?
you an NFL owner.
Own
That
my
might sell.
Dicks.
They
Stop
really
it.
have those aluminum. Those are 1970s.
Yeah.
They're aluminum bleachers.
Yeah, like 1970s at our high school.
Whatever.
Terrible.
I played in better conditions in frickin' 1985, man. 1984.
Since we are a Viking show and saying goodbye forever, is there any Viking news that you guys wanted to cover before we say goodbye?
No,
Nah, I think
I
we're
don't
good.
care. It's like February. Who cares, man?
Yeah.
We could do a quick 7-round draft if you want to.
Let's do
No.
a 7-round
I'm
draft.
kidding. No.
No, let's do a 7-round draft every day, all the way up to 2029. We'll cover all the drafts in every single day for the rest of our lives.
No.
Bugs Bunny. No.
No.
All right.
You guys are great.
Let's
Are we
spin
gonna
the wheel.
spin that?
Are you there?
We're gonna spin it for the last time.
Yeah.
We need a drum roll, Ted. That's the weakest drum roll.
I'm not a drummer. I never went to
Look at
AA.
Look at it.
Look at
It's
that.
all
That's all
tootses.
tootses.
Oh, holy crap! Oh, man.
Oh.
I
What an-
really thought it was going to hit
Oh.
that one guy's
What an
face.
appropriate way to end it, huh?
My God.
All right. I think she's got a real one coming up here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We've got a real one here.
Yogi Bear's on there too. Who gets the last prize from Vikings Report?
God.
Doc Proto. We gave one to Coach Gothorpe, so Doc Proto gets our last prize. Very fitting because Doc Proto's been an OG since day one.
Doc is awesome. We love Doc.
All right. So look, folks, it's been a lot of fun these last 4 years. Thanks so much for joining us. Before we let you go, Chris, you got any last words?
No, I mean, like I said, I am happy as hell that you guys got guys made me part of the show here at some point. I'm not even sure how long I've been doing the show as compared to how long the show has been going, but it's always been awesome to talk football with you guys. I mean, I've been at DN for as long as I've been there, and this is still probably the most fun and enjoyable thing that I do related to the Vikings. I mean, I still enjoy the writing portion, but being able to hang out here with you guys and preview the games during the week and talk about the games right after they happen, regardless of what happens. I mean, good, bad, ugly, whatever. Getting the opportunity to hang out with you guys, hang out with the audience, and we're like Ted said, we're running it back for the first night of the draft. So yeah, hopefully we've had a lot of fun during the live draft shows in the past. If you haven't gotten the opportunity to experience any of those, stop by and check out the last one, as painful as it is to say that. But no, just thanks to you guys for making me a part of the show here over the last few years, and giving me the opportunity to just talk football like regular dudes talk football. I appreciate it more than I can express to you guys.
Drew,
I am gonna miss these shows. I really am, and never, the future. Who knows what the future will hold? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I am completely 100% grateful for everybody who tuned in and supported the show. We had viewers sending in prizes to donate to the prize vault, Ted. I mean, that is more than that's going more than your mile right there, helping out with the prize vault, and Fanagi and Reggie and Tollison and everybody helped quite a bit with the show. I remembered my favorite part now was that Winchester Mystery House thing you did about Rick Spielman. That's one of the greatest bits of. I'm going to find it and cut it out, and I'm going to post it because it was so well done. But thanks to you guys, man. You guys pretty much made the show. I'm just a schlub. I just schlub along. The draft was kind of my thing, but I would sit back in awe after editing these shows and watch the job you guys did. And speaking of the people who subscribed and viewed and everything, I remember calling Ted after we first started, like the next day after we aired a show on a Friday. We started on Fridays, and I was all excited, and I was sending Ted messages. Ted, we got 100 subscribers. We got 100. I think we were shooting for 50. And then the next thing you know, we got 13,000, then 15,000. And it was just like, wow, what a memory that's going to be. Grandkids, for everybody in my family. So thank you to everybody who took the time to tune into our show. That's the main thing for me. And I love talking football with you guys. You guys want to talk football? I'm always here for you. But Vikings Report was 100 times more successful than I thought it would be. So thank you guys.
Yeah, going back to that, I thought if we ever got 1,000 subscribers, we'd be in some tall cotton, and we're sitting at over 20,000. I'm just flabbergasted. So thanks to everybody who joined us along this journey these last 4 years. It's been a pleasure. It's been some of the most fun I've had ever. Whether it's covering the Vikings or doing whatever, I had a blast. I had a blast doing this with you guys. Ruby, you were the best producer, I think, in the Vikings podcasting world. And thanks to everybody who tuned in and watched this show and interacted with us and emailed us and got a hold of us on Facebook or on social media or whatever. You guys were fantastic. We will see you in April, and then we will fade to black and blow out the candle for good. So for Drew, for Ruby, for Chris, we'll talk at you later.
One last time.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Skull Vikings.
Yeah.